grab your axes and start swinging, because Fury Warrior doesn't care about the new GCD system. With a very fast playstyle, Fury Warrior feels like a lean, mean wrecking machine. If you want to find out if Fury Warrior is a good fit for you going forward into 8.1, stay a while and listen. I checked the top guys in the world to see if they were representing the Fury community, and I was sad. I couldn't find any Fury guys in the top. Seems like ARMS is outperforming Fury, but this is historically the case with every expansion. Fury is designed in such a way that it scales better late game, the more gear you get. So it probably won't be surprising when we will start seeing Fury being used in patches 8.1 and 8.2. That was the case with Legion, where ARMS was smashing the meters for the most part, but Fury slowly caught up, and by the time on Taurus rolled out, Fury was on top of the meters, actually sitting at 3rd place as far as Warcraft logs is concerned, while ARMS was sitting in the bottom half of the rankings. But even so, we are talking about Mythic rating here, and super high Mythic plus runners. When you get to play at that level, you kinda wanna min-max as much as you can. That isn't to say that you cannot play Fury right now. It's a very good spec, has a lot of tools to deal with the type of encounters that BFA offers, and it's still above average as far as I could see when it comes to overall performance out of all of the specs in game. Doing normal and heroic uldir, average keys, even high keys is perfectly fine with the majority of the specs in the game, and Fury Warrior is no different. If you like fast gameplay, getting that quick response when pressing buttons and developing the strongest carpal tunnel, then let me help you out a bit and clarify some of the Fury Warrior's strengths and weaknesses. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel if you like the content. We have a lot of PvP and PvE videos already out, with more to come, especially in patch 8.1. Without further ado, let's check out the spec. The Fury Warrior is a dual-wielding berserker of big two-handed weapons, relying and building up rage quick with key abilities such as Bloodthirst and Raging Blow, and dumping the rage into Rampage, a combo of brutal strikes that also buff you with Enrage. Now, ever since its inception back in classic WoW, Enrage has went through a few changes. Most recently from Legion, it got reworked. When you are enraged, your haste is increased by 25%, movement speed by 10%, and you also get a boost in damage based on your mastery. All of this as a 5-second buff. You get enraged 100% of the time when you press Rampage, with Bloodthirst giving you a 30% chance to get enraged. Going into BFA from Legion, we lost Battlecry, but got Recklessness back with the same icon as Battlecry, just so we won't feel too lonely. Now, on a 1.5 minute cooldown, Recklessness gives us 100% increased rage generation and 20% crit chance on abilities. The core rotation focuses around Recklessness in a nice manner. The buff complements your playstyle, which is a nice element added to it in my opinion. With the constant bloodthirstiness feel of the spec, pressing Recklessness is like going on steroids for 5 seconds, which is how a Fury Warrior should play. None of that tactical bullshit ARMS has going around. When I play my Fury Warrior, I like to put my brain on pause and laugh at the pure excitement going on my screen. That isn't to say that the spec can be played without any thought put into it, but I feel like I need to react to my procs more so than plan ahead. It takes a bit of stress out of my head, I can relax and smash all the fools in my way. Another major change to Fury is the talents. And with the talents comes a change Fury Warriors have been asking for a long time, and that is Blade Storm. For the longest time we had this skill that we never used because the Blade Storm lasted too long and it didn't line up with Enrage properly. Now, lasting only 3.5 seconds and generate 25 rage on top of it, Blade Storm fills up our AoE burst rotation and simply just feels nice to use. A personal favorite of mine actually, even though it's slightly underperforming Dragon Roar at the moment. Also, we have a new spell, well, it's basically Colossus Smash, but for Fury on a 30-second cooldown, Siegebreaker. You pop it, gain a bit of rage, and debuff the enemy with 15% damage taken, currently performing the best in its tier. So we got a few new toys to play with. Other toys reworked. Why aren't people playing Fury Warrior? Well, they are, just not as much as ARMS. It's true that ARMS is dealing better with the tools it has, and since so far in the first few months, people have been focused on progressing through uldir and taking the better spec even if it's by a percentage. drastically reduced the statistics available for Fury Warrior because simply the best players were playing arms. When it comes to weaknesses, Fury suffers from a fairly lackluster talent tree. The talents you need to take are simply outperforming the others, leaving us with fewer options to choose from. We have a lot of cool talents like Meat Cleaver that makes Whirlwind able to enrage us 10% of the time though. It also generates rage with each target we hit, but it's just outperformed by Dragon's Roar at the moment. Reckless Abandon and Frothing Berserker are mechanics we had in Legion which were cool at the time, but again, now they're underperforming. Another downside of our playstyle is the actual enrage mechanic. When it's not active, the pacing slows down, and if you are unlucky with Bloodthirst procs, you could be sitting for 5 to 10 seconds without pressing Rampage. And for a spec as fast-paced as this, you will feel the delayed ramp up. It happens rarely though, so it's not a big deal in my opinion. Although not necessarily a weakness, Azerite traits are off-putting, where the main ones are not even Fury-orientated, like Razan's Fury being one of the strongest. I am saying that it's not a weakness because it doesn't actually gimp the damage, maybe the class fantasy. But even so, 8.1 comes with promises of glory, new traits, more interesting traits, so I'm looking forward to do just that. Now let's take a quick look at some of the strengths that Fury Warrior comes with, because Fury Warrior brings its own share of sunshines and rainbows. In an expansion where GCD has slowed the pacing of the game and made a lot of specs feel sluggish and clunky, Fury comes in with its Enrage Boy and says, "Fuck you GCD." The innate 25% haste buff feels so good, it's one of the few specs coming from Legion that retains some of that fast playstyle that keeps you on your toes. A strong point for Fury is to be made about its AoE. By God, is it ever satisfying to smack AoE, and for this matter I've enjoyed playing with Bladestorm even if it's performing below Dragon's Roar. Doing a proper AoE rotation does not gimp your single target damage at all, and it feels nice not to be punished for it. Plus, the AoE abilities are actually useful in single target as well. Dragon Roar still slows movement speed, Meat Cleaver still enrages you, Bladestorm still generates rage. We cannot talk about strengths without mentioning the mobility. Warrior is known to be one of the most mobile classes in the game. Fury has a charge and a leap, and the 10% movement speed buff from Enrage will never make you feel like you need more reach. I am a player that enjoys a bit of depth and planning, but every now and again I just want to play something more straightforward, and Fury delivers that. The rotation and priority system is easy to pick up and understand. Depending on the encounter you might need to adapt it a bit, but that is so straightforward that you will probably figure it out faster than you realize. I am still gearing my warrior, so I can only talk about the overall spec and how it feels. Since Fury has always performed at least average in the past in terms of rankings, I can only expect it to rise up with each raid tier. And honestly, at the end of the day, as long as we are having fun, it's all good. All in all, Fury has always remained one of my favorite specs. I would 10 out of 10 recommend picking it up. It's a blast to play, and gearing it in terms of secondary stats is way easier than in Legion, since all warrior specs pretty much value haste highly. Thank you very much for watching the video so far, and if you found this useful, drop a like. If you want to support our channel, we have a Patreon page, link in the description, with some goodies to show our appreciation. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you guys next time.